So here is a PowerPoint again, and these are the results for experiment 1. So the IAT reaction times differed significantly depending on the preference. And we discussed that. And then, so for the experiment 1, the result we found that the implicit preference positively correlated with the self-report and the brand of preferences. And then these are the results that we discussed for experiment number 3. And this is the breakdown of the numbers and the hypotheses that they covered. And we covered these. And then the conclusion for study 3 was that participant implicit preferences were influenced by their own recognition accuracy, but their explicit preferences were not. And the overall conclusion that I just mentioned on page 412, that the IAT was shown to be useful in research on brand attitudes and the role brand in consumer decisions. The IAT may prove especially useful in research contexts in which brand attitudes are not accessible to self-report, and therefore explicit measures will prove insufficient. Okay, so these are again what we discussed, and then there are 3 more questions in this paper that we could consider. Whether does having participated in the IAT experiment give any more insight into the research or reported here, which this is you can have your own opinion, that there's no correct answer for this one. And then another question that we may consider is why do authors suggest it is appropriate to use a procedure of IAT developed by the social psychologists to study the attitude? And then another question that we may consider is what is the role of theory in motivating this research? So for the last question, this study kind of went backward, because a lot of research, a hypothesis is tested and is predicted based on the theory, but this research is motivated by the analogy. So it's kind of a little backwards. So they have an analogy and they are going after the theory. And then for the second question, why do authors suggest it is appropriate to use the IAT procedure? Because the last paragraph, the first page, explains this. It says, let me move this right here so I can read it. So they said that the consumers may poses brand image and consumer behavior equivalent to the social psychology stereotype. So having a brand and having a certain image in mind would influence their decisions. So that's why they chose IAT studies. All right, cool. So the last thing we're going to do today before Nicole gets here, I have to keep moving this right here so I can read. Oh my God. All right, cool. Is the estimating exercise. And with this exercise, I want you guys to keep in mind that there is an understanding by the scientists and psychologists that usually when it comes to human beings and we want to estimate things, we are generally not good with estimation, right? And then what they propose that is going to help us to more accurately estimate is to choose a random selection method. Doing selecting stuff randomly that can kind of improve our estimation in general, right? And then we are going to do an exercise here that is a rectangle estimation, and this is the one that we are going to submit to earn our points today. And then I'm going to go over the exercise that we're going to do. So we're going to do it as class. Every single one of you is going to get a different results on your data sheet following the instructions, because I'm going to assign you guys a different, each person a different number. And then you submit the average and everything, after class to the website. So let me go ahead and stop the share because it can be confusing, and please interrupt me whenever you want, if you're confused about anything. Let me go ahead and share. So if you go, actually, you know what? Let me go ahead and share my Canvas page, so that way it's easier. My Canvas. All right. So this is again, if you go to week number 3 for the main canvas, the lecture canvas, you can find the lab material right here. And then if you go on the second one, the random rectangles estimation instructions, you can find the detailed instructions that we are going to go over. So if you open that, you can see the detailed explanation. So what we're going to do, so we have, I'm going to show you guys a list of 100 rectangles divided into squares like this. And then what we want to do, the purpose of this is that we do want to estimate these squares right here by just looking at it, right? We don't want to count it, we just want to look at it. So and then we have a little number right here, which is the rectangle number. It has nothing to do with how we're going to estimate. So it just, this number, this is the rectangle number 1, this is the rectangle number 32. So it is a rectangle number 1 because of the one next to it right here. And its size, which is 9, it's made up of 9 square boxes. So we have rectangle number 1, and then it's divided into 9 squares right here. So that's the size, or that's the area of rectangle number 1. Okay, this is another rectangle. It's number 32. So this is rectangle number 32 because of 32 right next to it, right? And the size of a rectangle number 32, it's 8. So we have 8 square, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the size of rectangle number 32, it's 8 square. On the data sheet that I'm going to show you just in a second, you would specify this rectangle as index 1. So, the number of the rectangle is going to be called index 1, meaning that it's number of the rectangle, and the size number 9, or by index number 32 for a different rectangle, and size 8. I'll show you the data and it'll make much more sense. So it is the rectangle number 32 because I covered them. So for estimate of rectangle number 1, which has how many? Which has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 square box. You are glancing at a sheet covered with 100 of these rectangles of many sizes and estimate the average size. So I'm going to show you guys a page that has hundreds of these rectangles, and you just choose and you just look at the whole thing as an overall, the 100 of them, and come up with a number that you think is the average number for the small boxes, or the number of the square boxes of the whole thing. So you just look at it and come up with the average. You say, okay, maybe, in average, all these hundreds of square boxes, maybe their average is like 7 or 4 or 5 that they have these little squares in them. So you just look at them and come up with the estimate, right? So again, you're glancing at the sheet of covered, showed 100 of these rectangles of many sizes, and estimate the average size that you think will be a good representative of all. So again, for example, suppose some are size 1, that means they have 1 rectangle, 1 square, and some are size 2, and the whole lot are size 5. Glancing at them, you might estimate the average size of the whole thing. Maybe you go with 4. You write this estimate on the blank that says estimate number 1, and I'll show you the paper right now that will make sense. Okay, so let me go ahead and close this. So if you open the data sheet right here, the second or the third document on the page, you will see the the one that we were talking about. So we have 3 charts. For number 1, I will be showing you hundreds. Let's do number 1. I will show you for 5 seconds a different page, right? That has hundreds of these rectangles, right? And then I want you guys to, let me actually go ahead and share the PowerPoint. Okay. So these are the indices or index or the number of the rectangle. Rectangle, what I mean by the rectangle is the whole thing. And then what I want you to do, I'm going to show you guys this page right here. And then you have to give me the average of the whole thing that you see. How many do you think they have in average? You come up with, like, every rectangle has an average of 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And then I want you guys to write it down on this page. If you can print this page out, or if you can edit it on your computer, you can just draw this on a piece of paper and then take a picture of it and then upload it after you're done, right? So for now, let's do estimate number 1. I'm gonna show you guys that page one more time for 5 seconds, and then you look around for the whole thing, and then you come up with the average of the square boxes for each. Not for each, but I mean like as a whole, right? And you write down the average that you think that is close to every single one of them. With one number, write it right here, okay? So let me go ahead and stop the share. And then, all right, guys, ready? I'll show you this for 5 seconds. Don't worry about the numbers next to it, because those are the rectangles numbers. So don't mind those. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3. Oh, Jesus. This is not it. Here we go. 1, 2. Okay, cool. So write that the average that you thought as the whole, you saw all the squares that you think all the rectangle has, that is closest estimate that you can come up with, and write it on, I have to keep sharing this. Write it on the data sheet here. So estimate number 1, write it here. And then ask me any question if you're confused about anything. I know this is a little weird. So all good? Cool. Now, what we're gonna do, so we wrote this down, and then let's go to the estimate number 2. Let me go ahead and share. All right. Sure. Let's go to the canvas again. So here's the data sheet. So let's go to the instructions again. So now in the instructions for estimate number 2, okay, we have estimate number 2. So you could quickly pick out of 5 rectangles. So I'm going to show you that picture again, 100 square rectangles. So you pick 5 rectangles that look to be about the average size that you picked. So let's say if you picked 4, for example, you try to quickly, because I'm going to put, again, it's going to be 5-10 seconds. So you quickly look at the different rectangles that is you think it's close to number 4, the average for the estimation number 1 that you chose, right? And you write down the index number or the rectangle number, which we call index number, on the data sheet that you have, right? And then I'm gonna show you guys the page one more time, the hundreds of rectangles, and then you write the exact size down right next to the number, right? So again, for the estimation number 2, let me show you the data sheet. So on your data sheet for estimate number 2, I'm gonna show you guys that page that we just saw for 5 seconds. And then you try to write down the index number or the rectangle number right below of each rectangle that you think it's close to your estimate, what you estimated to number 4. Try to eyeball it, right? Don't try to count it, just look at it, and whatever that feels close to it, write it down, write the index number down right here, right? And then this is gonna take like 5 to 10 seconds. And after that, I'm gonna show you that page one more time, and then you write down the exact size. So try to look for something that is close to it. So don't try to count anything. Let me go ahead and share. Any questions? Did you guys get it?
So are we looking for boxes that fit the average that we decided on, or are we looking at
Something that is
boxes that look average compared to everything else?
you look of the boxes that is average to what you estimated for number 1.
Okay.
So for number 1, you looked at the whole picture and you came up with the estimation of the squares, and then for this one, you write down the indexes or the rectangle that you choose that you feel that it's closer to this one just by the quick skim.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, so the index number is going to be on the bottom of each rectangle. So let me go ahead and share. So let me do the PowerPoint one more time just to be sure that everyone understood it. So the index number, what I mean, it's right here. The number is right here that shows this is rectangle number 1 and this is number 32. I'll show you guys this page right now. And then whatever that you estimated, you write down, you try to eyeball and everything that seems close. Let's say if you chose 4, you write down index number 45, for example, in the index right here. And then you do 5 of this. You try to find 5 rectangle and write down the numbers as fast as you can right here at the index, right? Just for now. Let me go ahead and, so you guys ready? So 1, 2, I'll give you guys about like less than 10 seconds. Again, don't count eyeball, just estimation. There we go. As you see it, write it down. Don't count, just. Three, 2, 1. All right, perfect. Did everyone got it? So go ahead and write the numbers on the data sheet. So this is for estimate number 2. Okay. So now you should have all the index numbers, rectangle numbers right here. And now I'm going to show you that page one more time. And now every number that you wrote down, I want you guys to figure out the size. So for example, if you chose, for example, if you chose number 22, Right next to it, count the number of squares. So in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4. And right next to the 22 that you wrote down, write the number of the, the area of 22, or the square boxes that are in number 22. Okay, so go ahead and write down the numbers, the exact numbers, right next to it on the chart. For each indices that you found. Don't change your index number, just write the uh, number, the sizes of each rectangle that you found. And just give me a heads up once you're done. Everyone's finished? Should I stop the share? Let me know. Let's take like 10 more seconds. All right, so I'll stop the share. Awesome. So that's for estimate number 2. So if you go to the go back to the PowerPoint, what I want you guys to do now, you might need a calculator for this one or not, I'm not sure. So for the sizes for this column right here, for the size, I want you guys to get the average of the size. So you add every square, so this one, and only for this column of the size, get the average for the size. You add them up, divide them by 5, and I'll write the estimate right here. Again, I want you guys to get the average for the size column right here, not the index, just for the size column. So you add the square that you count for each indexes, and then you add them up, divide them by 5, and write it down in the estimate number 2 right here. And let me know when you're finished. And I want you guys to do it to the 0.1 decimal place. All done? Okay. So after you got the average and you wrote it down, let's do number 3. So number 3, I'm going to show you guys this table of random numbers, right? And then I'll give you each of you a different column, right? And then you have to remember it. And then after I assign you the column, right? Uh, for example, I'm going to say, Gazelle, this is your column, for example, right? And then I want you, after I assign you, I want you to think of a number between 1 and 4, right? So after I assign you, you choose a number between 1 and 4. Let's say if you choose a 4, you count for each row, you count the numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So your number is going to be 3 and 4. You write number 4 and you write the number after it. So your number is going to be 3, 4, right? And then you write this down on estimate number 3 on your index. So this is going to be 3, 4. The next one, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 5. It's going to be 9. And then you write 9, 5, 95 in the second place. And then you just run over the rows, and then you write 4 and fourth and fifth number that you chose. For example, again, let's say if I give you a column and in your mind you chose 2. So each row you see 1, 2. So you write the second one and the one after it, the third. So in this case, it's going to be 96. So you write 96 in the first index. Or you write, you go to the next one, you write the second one is going to be 4, the one after is 5, 45. You write 45 in the second place, and so on and so forth, depending on the column or on the block that I'm going to assign you to. Again, for example, let's say if you chose 3, I'll give you, for example, if you're a person, I give you this column. For 3, you count 1, 2, 3. So you have 2, and the fourth one, the next one after is going to be 22. So you write 22 in the index, and then the next one, the next one, the next one. So each 2 numbers, you write it down on the index, right in the chart in the previous page, right here. You got it? Question?
I'm sorry, can you explain that one more time? I'm getting confused on this one.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm gonna assign each one of you, each individual, to a block of number, each block, right? I give you guys 1 block. And then after I give you the block, your block, right? I want you guys to think of a number between 1 and 4, right? After this is something that you choose, it's completely random. And let's say you came up with, you said, I'll choose 1 in your mind. So in the block that I give you, so you can, each row has a different number, right? That are 5 digits. So you said 1, and you count the first number, and then you go with the one after it. So in this case, it's going to be 39, and you write that 39 right here in the estimate number 3, in the index number 3 right here. So 39. And then you do that for each row of the number. And then for the next one, if you chose 1, it's going to be 1, 4. And then you write it down, 3, 0, 4, 6, 4, and 4, 2. You write it down. Only write 2 numbers, the one that you chose and the one after it. Let's say I gave you this column right here. And then in your mind, after I assign you, you said, I choose number 3, right? And then so what you do, you count 3 digits of each row. So in this case, it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Your third one is going to be 9. The one after it is going to be 1. So it's 91. And you write that on, so this is the first row. You write that on the first row of right here, estimate number 3. And then you go the second one, the third one, 65, 65, you write it down on the second one, and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no problem. Okay, everyone got it?
So say
All right,
when
cool.
you pick a number.
Say that one more time.
Also, I was asking, like, say if you pick a number and it's like 09, would that mean it just counts as like number 9 then, since the 0 doesn't count as anything?
You write 0, 9.
Okay.
Just write whatever you see. Yeah. Okay, so pay attention here. So you know what your what is your block. Let's go with I'm sorry if I mispronounce your name, by the way. Aishwarya or Aish?
Ash, yeah, Ash is good.
Ash, okay. Let's do this one for you. Right
Okay.
here, can you see?
Yes. Okay.
All right. And Esther, I'll give you this right below. The first one is 17635.
Sounds good.
Okay. Let's go with Giselle. Giselle, this is yours. 60571 is the first one.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Jerry. Jerry, this is yours. And we have Nicole here. 89848, this is yours. And then Justin, this is yours. 79157. And then Kathy, the last one is yours right here. 29541. Okay. Kang Do, this is yours. And then Minju Jong, this is yours. 70361.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. And then Yuja, this is yours. 04037. Okay. So whatever number that you chose in your mind between 1 and 4, you count the numbers, you write the two numbers, 2 digits that I showed you in the estimate number 3 under indexes. Okay, and then let me know in the chat room whenever you guys were done. Hi, Nicole. We will be done in, give us like 10 minutes and then we all gonna be ready for you.
Okay, thanks, great.
No problem.
Can you show the table again?
Definitely.
Thank you.
So for estimate 3, do we also find the average to it, or how do we get estimate 3?
Yeah, I'm gonna show you this just in a second. Let me make sure that everyone's finished.
Okay, thank you.
Are we all done? Yeah, okay, perfect. So you have the index numbers right here. I assume you have 5 of them, okay, based on the number I showed. Now I'm gonna show you the page that we just saw, the hundreds of rectangles, and I want you guys to find the rectangle number that you found, that you have the index number, you found the index number, you know, the two digits that you have, and then I want you guys to write down the size of each index number or each rectangle that you see on the page that I'm going to show you, right? So let me go ahead and share. All right, here's the page. So depending on what index number you found, these are the index number. Write down the sizes of each rectangle, right next column by the size. And then also, please let me know whenever you're done. Okay, all done?
Give me a second.
Sure. And then for those who are done, please get the average of the size. So you add just for the size, not for the index. For the size column, get the average, add them all up, the 5 of them, add them up, divide them by 5, and write the estimate down right below it. Okay, so let me go ahead and stop the share. Are we all done with this page? Okay. Let me go ahead and share the PowerPoint. Awesome. So you have the sizes, add the sizes up, divide them by 5, write the estimate right here. And let me know when you guys were done. Yes, you will submit this page to the Canvas after you're done. And it doesn't have to be printed out or anything like that. If you can print it out or you can edit it on your desktop or computer, you can just write it down on the paper, take a picture of it, submit that. Let me know whenever you guys are finished. All done? Awesome. So again, the main purpose of this exercise is to just confirm that human beings are not really good at estimating things and looking at things. So number 1 and 2 should show that, because you had something to do with, you were looking at and the pictures and rectangles and you were trying to come up with the estimation. But number 3 was a total random selection, right? Because I just assigned you guys a different and you chose a 2 number, and then it was completely random, right? And then now we wanted compare the results. So this is the exact mean of the hundreds rectangles that we saw. The mean is 7.46. We have the median of 6. We have mode of 1, and then we have standard deviation of 5.8. And this is the result for the whole hundreds of rectangle that we saw, right? So each student has 3 estimate. Each of you has a 3 estimate of the mean of the same population that I showed, the set of 100 rectangle. You all have the 3 mean, right? The true mean that we calculated for the hundreds of rectangles, it's 7.42. Now, if you found a number that is different than 7.42, it's either due to the variation due to the random sampling that you chose or the systematic bias that you had when you were trying to choose the rectangles that I said, choose the one that is close to what you estimated before, right? So whatever that you found, if your result varies by any number from 7.42, then this most likely is one of the 2 reasons, right? So now, if we were in the actual class, it would be much easier. So what I do for estimate number 1, number 2, and number 3, I would ask each single one of you to give me the mean that you found, right? And then I'll draw the histogram graph of it. So I'll ask everyone, every single one of you, what was the mean for number 1 that you found? And you give me the result, and I'll get the mean for the entire class. And I'll do the same thing for the estimate number 2 and estimate number 3. I'm not gonna do that here because we have Nicole here. I don't want her keep her waiting. So this is the response that we got for the previous years. That shows that for estimate number 1, we found the mean for the whole class to be around 9.1, and then standard deviation of 7.06. For estimate number 2, what I mean by estimate number 2 is right here. For estimate number 2, this what I mean is right here. So the average that you got for the estimate number 2, we found to be for the past years to be around 10.26, and then the standard deviation was 3.7. And then estimate number 3, which we used total random selection, was 6.58, and the standard deviation of 2.70. What this tells us over the course of class, that the random selection is the best way to go when we are conducting research, right? That's why we always use random selection. We see that the mean, it's the much closer one compared to the estimate 2 and estimate number 1 that you guys eyeballed and try to come up with the estimate, right? That's the whole point of this exercise. So so the usual response from the previous class, like I said, the only thing that was accurate and most close to our actual mean was the estimate number 3, and typically estimate number 1 and number 2 were less accurate, and that's why we use the random selection. And what I want you guys to do after the class ends, I want you guys to upload this. Let me show you guys again onto Canvas. Let me go ahead and share my Canvas page if I can find it. So here's the Canvas page. Let me go ahead and, oops, out of charge. So if you go to class dashboard, you find the Canvas page for Our lab, lab 2, you go under assignment. Lab 2, week 3 submissions. I want you guys to submit the data sheet that we completed, your estimate number 1, number 2, number 3. Okay. Any questions? Any concern? Any comments? Anything you're confused about? Now is the time to ask. Let me go ahead and connect my laptop to a charger really fast. Okay, if there's no questions, then I'm gonna ask Nicole to go ahead and give us the lecture. Thank you so much for joining us, Nicole.
Hi, thanks for letting me be here and talk library stuff with you guys. Can you make me co-host so I can share my screen?
Yes, here we go. And we are all ready for you.
All right, thanks. Hi class. You guys have a couple of upcoming assignments that are going to dig into library resources and databases, but in general, you know, I'm not quite sure how much everybody's had contact with the libraries because the last couple of years have been a little weird. So if you want to just tell me really quick, by a show of hands, whether or not you've ever had a library orientation at UCI. Okay. Got a couple. We're like a split session. Okay. A few people have, a few people haven't. Thanks. All right. And how many of you have done research and had that like frustrating, I don't know what to do next experience where you just kind of want to like strangle your laptop and smack it around a little bit? Yeah. Okay. So just because we have a couple of those and a couple of people that haven't had orientation, I'm going to zip through some general stuff, and then we're going to talk about things that are going to help you get through your assignments and some other key stuff. I do talk fast, and library lingo fatigue is like a real thing. So if you need me to stop, raise your hand, unmute yourself and be like, whoa, go back a screen or two. Please just let me know because I'm very, very happy to do that and get everybody on the same page. Okay, with further ado, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. All right. Just a quick recap of some of the things that the library likes to have for free, you know, good stuff like that. So first of all, we're going to start at lib.uci.edu. If you do not have the software VPN, which I really hope everybody does, that also needs to be on it. It needs to be set to UCI full. And actually, let me jump out really quick and show you. Really quick, I'm going to jump back out. So here's our homepage. Here's the Connect from off campus. If you have any crazy issues, if you're trying to download like a full ebook or stream video, you really, really need to be on UCI full as your group, which a lot of people don't even pay attention to this drop down. And then username and password is your own. Grab the software VPN because that mobile VPN and the web VPN are just too iffy to do like your heavy actual research with. I just want to point that out. Also, back on our homepage, if everything I say goes over your head or it's just your head is too full of all the numbers you just did an activity on, just scroll down on the first page. There's where you can make a quick appointment with anybody at the library. You can chat. It's 24 hours. We got people looking at our policies and they know about our databases at 3 a.m. You can find somebody knowledgeable Or if it's more detailed, you can always email us. So just, if anything, you know, we're here to help, and those are the ways you can get in contact with us. But yay, where are all the resources? Well, we're going to touch really quick on research guides, or just a curated, quick one-stop shop to get you started with research. They're not comprehensive because that's just insane. We license way too much stuff, especially as part of the UC system. But there's also like the general stuff. So if you're looking for interdisciplinary stuff, or start with the big giant databases, that also really aids in your comprehension of understanding something. We have way too many ways to access journals. And then also, if you didn't already know, we do. The one place on campus that wants to give you stuff for free is the library. So whether or not it's a textbook that we have on course reserves, or at the MRC over at the science library, there's laptops and cameras and calculators and electronic you can play, like so many things. Research assistants, like yay, reach out to me. Study rooms and free scanning, because apparently we don't print a lot anymore, we just scan. So that, all the free things, just let us know if you have a question and be like, does the library do this? And the answer is probably yes. So here's a quick look at all the different organized research guides we have. So not just because, you know, you're in the field of social sciences, which I'm the librarian for, but I mean, if you've taken a chemistry class and you get stuck, go to the chemistry guide, contact the chemistry librarian, ask them some questions, try and get through that class. All good things. I'm here for you. I want to actively engage with you. That's what they pay me to do. So go ahead and reach out to me if you ever have questions. Also, we have more interdisciplinary type of guides themselves, whether or not searching for primary resources or just social science data, news and newspapers. You're trying to find transcripts. You want to learn more about GIS? We've got it. So that frustrating part of research, that search path, is definitely not a straight one. It's not a circle, it's a freaking squiggle. You start, you stop, everything goes bonkers, right? So one of the few things we can tell you is that the library search is there for you. It is a comprehensive search for all of the UCs. So just in July, we released an entire UC system library catalog. And so whether or not we own it at all, it's still going to be there. So you can learn what exists. So you need to pay attention to the location to find out, is it in print? Is it online? If it's somewhere that we can interlibrary loan it, there's a little button that says request this, all of those different types of things if you log in. But also you don't necessarily want to just let the search do its own search thing. So when you're doing a search, tell the search engine, tell library search, tell the database, tell Google Scholar. Don't just rely on its default settings. Take charge of what you want to see, edit the filters, limit by resource type, and try and be specific. There's different resource types that happen in a different information timeline. So whether or not you're looking at something that happened a month ago, there's not going to be scholarly resources on it, but there might be magazines, newspaper articles, and internet updates. But something that happened long ago, there'll be more magazines, trade, publications, scholarly journals, and books on that. So try to see, like, what are you looking for? How authoritative of a resource do you need for this research or not? Obviously, this assignment is very specific, but in the future, you might want to think about these types of things. Be like, well, I think, you know, Pulitzer Prize winning newspaper articles, exposés are good enough for me, then that's what you decide what the authority is of different things as well. So I try to stick with the rule of 3 general research. So yay, everybody can start with Google Scholar. I'm not going to hate. But that also doesn't mean that that's the only place you should stay. So I say the rule of 3. So Google Scholar could be 1, but then you might end up at a specific journal from Google Scholar. So search that journal, search throughout it, come back over and search the UC library search. So there you go. There's 3 things you search within a journal, a Google Scholar, and a library search. You might want to throw in a database, try and fill out all of your areas. And if we don't have something, and you might need to click on the little tag thingy that says get it at UC. So that's pretty much the little signifier that says you're not going to find the full text, or you're going to have to go find it and see if we have it through a different avenue. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be an interlibrary loan. We probably have at least 50% when you say get it at UC, we'll have access to the digital version of it. All right, so general library topics as I whizzed by them all. Does anybody have any quick questions on those before we jump into checking out PsycInfo? All right. Silence means everybody's golden, right? All right, so PsycInfo is one of our databases. It's very comprehensive international index, and but also has a lot of full text. So there's a couple of things you need to discern when you look through PsycInfo. There's a bunch of different ways you can search through it. So you can be very particular and decide you need to search for something by title or by author, which is what your assignment's going to ask of you. You might want to check out the thesaurus. So you've searched on Google Scholar and you found all of these things, but that's still using natural language. It's using what we normally talk. But that database speak, that library lingo, that academic lingo doesn't always mesh perfectly. So quite a few of our databases have the availability to click on a thesaurus and put in the search term that you're looking for. And you essentially are searching that database's subject terms to say, how do you guys talk about this topic? Lots of other ways we can use PsycInfo. Some of the ways to search, like I said before, we always search in the big bar, but we don't always necessarily look at the thing next to the big bar when we're just searching. So by default, it just says anywhere. But when you actually select that, you can see there's a monster of a list underneath that of the different places you can search within. So whether or not you're trying to search for something with consumer in the title, it might look like that, a TI with parentheses consumer inside, or by author. You can be searching for something by a phrase, but you want to keep those phrases in quotes because quotes means that it's going to be next to each other. And this particular database, like many other, have something called the proximity. So it doesn't necessarily have to be next to each other like quotes do, but proximity means I want it near it so many words within a sentence. So internet near 3 words of the word media. So they can be either way. It doesn't necessarily have to be in order, but they're going to be near each other, and there's only going to be about 3 words in between. So that's going to give you a sampling of different ways you can manipulate your search in PsycInfo in many different ways. Here's an example of me searching for consumer, and you can see all the different things that pop up for a in PsycInfo for consumer, whether it's attitudes or behaviors or education or ethics. And each one of those has this little like double post-it thing looking next to it. If you click on one of those, all of those are going to have related terms. So it's just a minefield of other ideas of things you might not have already looked up or researched. So this is a really great place to narrow down and find resources. So I like to tell this class very specifically that if you're searching anywhere, it does search full text. And so this is one of the databases that has another database inside of it. So it's also searching a full text of like maybe 90% of APA's actual journals. But it also has all this huge indexing of everything that's not that as well. So if you're trying to make this search in this database similar to other databases, you need to go to the drop down and select anywhere but full text. So it only searches the metadata. And so the metadata is essentially the subject terms, the abstract, the journal it's in, the author, and the title. So it's kind of like, the top heavy parts. Also, there's a really cool section. A lot of our other databases do not have this, which makes this one stand apart, is there's a type of research. So there's metadata on the methodology. So whether or not you're looking for a clinical trial, an article about a clinical trial, an article that is about an empirical study, or a meta-analysis, or a qualitative, a quantitative, a systematic review. This is actually going to break all that down for you, so you can just click a button and it'll be there for you. So it's really, really rich in that type of metadata. Also things like the population, male, female, age group. So if you're looking for something and it's specifically targeting children or adolescents, you can select those as well. So it's got a lot of different ways, just one database and all the ways you can look at it. So here I like to do an examination of, if you see this article, so I read the title already and I clicked on this entry, and this is what it looks like. Where do your eyes like normally go? Like, what are you getting out of this? How are you verifying this is where you want to be? Go ahead and unmute and tell me, or put in chat, what do you look for first? Where do your eyes go to second? What makes this a good article or not a good article? All right, everybody's looking at the title, the abstract, authors. Yeah, it's got quite a list of authors. Yes, I love publisher. It's even in bold. It's trying to scream at you. I'm in the Journal of Applied Psychology. Really, really great. Yes, I absolutely love the subject area also down here. This probably hasn't been updated, so normally you will find cited by over here. So you can go from the references to this article, and you can go forward in time to the new scholarly items that have been cited, that have cited this article in the scholarly communication timeline. So citation searching like that, going through the system, is really nice when everything's linked and happy. So there's a lot of different ways where you can continue searching or looking at the related items here, or you can jump into that journal and start searching again. Lots of different ways to keep going and stay within that concept. Whoops. All right. Yes, all of our cheesy team. Let me get out of this really quick and back over to our library. So we're going to do a live demo right now. So if anybody has any questions or is queuing up for any of those, please please put them in chat and I'll make sure that I cover them. But we're going to go to researching the research guides under quick links. If you haven't before, and jump to our psychological science one. And complete with the cheesy picture of me and my contact. Meet with me, you can click on that. You can decide if you want to see me in person or virtual. No feelings hurt, it's all good. And then you can select on the different days and times and things like that that I'm available. There we go. Oh, and here on a couple of my guides, I've done this little test your VPN. So if you're just about jumping into everything and you're like, did I turn everything on? This kind of gives you a nice green box, tell you that you're on the VPN. It's nice and red when it's not. So you know that you need to go back and make sure that you've logged in correctly. So here at the top, if you go under articles, there's a couple of different things I want to show you. First off, Psych Info is staring at you in the face. It's the first link there. But second is going to be some of the ways to search psych info, we have the thesaurus video, the search video, how to for the advanced, and also we have something called psych tests. I'll give you a quick tutorial as well. So there's always another way to kind of see what we jumped into, if you need a refresher afterwards. Okay, so here we go. This is the box you normally type into, right? So I think you guys, I can't remember. I'm not going to use an example specifically from yours. I'm going to go to microaggression. And I'm going to put this little guy at the end of it. That's truncation. So that's going to add the S for me if there's anything with microaggressions. And here's the anywhere. So if I don't want it to say anywhere, I can say anywhere except full text. So I want to keep it in the abstract and above, and I want to add college. It's a decent amount of results. At least half of them are scholarly, and you can see how the conversation has slowly picked up on this topic over time. And so here you can always decide, okay, well, I only want to see what's really been written in the last 5 years. Narrow it down by scholarly journals. And you have a little bit more of a manageable starting point. So yeah, I want to get into one where, here we go, where we have this lovely Get It at UC. So we jump in here. This is really harassment speak. It's in the Journal of Homosexuality that really is on target for this topic. Here's my subject areas. Here is my cited by. So even though it's 2019, 5 scholars have already talked about this subject. So that's great. But I want to see if I can get there. So I want to select Get It at UC. And this is going to throw me down a rabbit hole and see if we actually have the online access. So I scroll down to where it says view online. There's a little tab thingy there as well. And it says everything's available since 1997. I'm going to jump into that. Sounds perfect. There's my access. There's the information I'm looking for. For those of you who haven't had a library orientation or maybe haven't done a lot of scholarly research, let me just throw this at you. That after you read that abstract, what I say, if it still kind of sounds like what you're looking for, you got to jump down to the conclusion and find out what was the actual result of their thing. I guess we go to results as well. But yeah, sometimes it gets a little too. Here we go, our findings. There we go. That's a good way for a paragraph to start. You want to find out what did they find? So go ahead and scroll to one of those sections, results, discussion, conclusion. They're all named something different. And then by reading this section, you will have a really good understanding of whether or not you wanted to stick with this article and actually spend the time. I mean, look at how small the little scroller is, reading all the rest of it. So it's a lot easier to read 2 paragraphs and then go through and read a 20-page article before. So you can decide whether or not you really need to spend your time reading the rest of it. It's just one of the little tips and tricks to jump around before you kill a bunch of time. All right, let me see, what else is another thing to show you? I definitely wanted to show you the cited bys. It's a great resource, and yeah, most of them are either linked or have the full text, which is great. So that's continuing the scholarly conversation and learning about new things. I will say that here, let's see, I don't think I've done more than one search, but I do want to point out at the top, you saw on the advanced search page, it says recent searches. So when I click on that, it will show my first, second, and third. And you're like, you didn't do that many searches. No, but I filtered. And so it's applying my limits. And so it says you started out at 505, you went to 343, and now you're at 200. So if I wanted to jump back out and get rid of limiters without playing with a bunch of buttons, or if I changed my words at some point, you can jump back around when you still have the same tab open. So it won't save if you timed out and things like that. But if you're still in the search and you're still running around, it's been like 45 minutes, you're like, I don't remember, but I really like something like half hour ago. Where was I? You can try and search back through your recent searches. And I realize it's an absolute lifesaver for a lot of people. So I want to make sure that everybody knows about that as well. Okay, so any questions so far on this? Messing around with document title. So that's another good place where you can just see, make sure that that term is in. You can be very, very specific and use that. That's great. I narrowed it down to scholarly journals. I still have a bunch of results that have microaggressions in the title and college somewhere. So that's an incredible, great breadth of information that I'm looking for, and it's really easy to find. And here you do have a lot of the results cited by, wow, how old are you? 14? So, I mean, it's really great. You can see like, okay, a lot of people have built on this scholarship, and that might be a really great place to start. And you can see the different types of references and cited bys, whether or not we have full text or whether or not you need to jump to get it at UC. Just by scanning the page. And I really do love playing with this little publication thing. And you can be very, very granular, like the last 4 years, and narrow it down. And that's still a lot of results in 4 years. So messing around with different things. And again, here we go. We can go back to our search limits and see where we put things. I was searching in no full text, and now I'm searching in title, and you can see the difference, and you can see our result numbers. I love being able to back. It's really helpful. If there is more search tips you're looking for, look here. It's just, hopefully you guys can see this pop up, but there's some more search tips about using Boolean and wildcards and all that kind of, a lot of the things we've already talked about. There's the near. There's a bunch of other ones that you can apply as well. So different techniques to use across the platform. Okay. If there's no more questions on that, I'm going to address one thing in your, in another assignment that Professor Lofgren likes to assign, is where I kind of call it the telephone, right? So you have, you're trying to search for something on the web, right? An article that references actual scholarly reports or work and stuff like that. And it's kind of like playing the telephone game when you were a kid. I don't know if I'm dating myself, but the, you know, does the scholarly report actually trickle through the news cycle and keep its actual points, right? Or does it get manipulated along the way? And so one of the ways that you really need to find out, well, you're going to start over here at the news article. How do you make sure that what you get to is going to be scholarly? So I'm going to point out one of our resources is the Ulrich's periodicals. Come back. And it is periodicals directory. So it essentially is a giant database of all the different types of journals that are out there. Let me see. Oh, Journal of Homosexuality. Let's search that one. Journal of Homosexuality, Rutledge. It is ceased. What is ceased? Oh, just the print version. So they stopped publishing a print version, but the online version is still going. It's active. And if you scroll back over, peek that way. Sorry, the computer screen at home is never big enough. Here we go. And you can see here that this little black book says it's refereed. So That is a fancy word for peer-reviewed. It's a fancy word for scholarly. It's an academic journal. It is refereed. So here is where you can confirm, no matter what crazy name of a journal you end up back at, you can always come here, and that's also on the psychology articles page. I've tucked it away under here under databases, general databases. Technically is a database, the way we pay for it. So here we go. And so that's just one quick way where you can be like, that sounds a little shady. I want to check out who that publisher is. You can see, you can learn more things about them this way. So that is kind of my quick version. We started a little late. So if there is any questions, or if I glazed over something, if you guys haven't looked at your assignments, you can always reach out back to me on all of my research guides. My cheesy picture and my contact information is there. So I'm more than happy to talk with you guys more. If you get stuck, please reach out. Very happy to work with you. I'm going to stop sharing and leave it open for a couple of questions if anybody has any.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. So everyone, if you have any questions, if you're confused about anything on your assignment that was due, it's the perfect time to ask Nicole right now, since she can share her screen and show you exactly how to find information. So I would jump onto this opportunity if you're confused about any of the two assignment, exercise 3 and 5 that was assigned for you to submit. And if you feel shy, you can use the chat section, and we can answer questions there as well.
Was there anything that I missed? I think I kind of covered the majority of the assignment goals. So if there is anything you specifically want me to get back to, let me know.
Yeah, definitely. I think you basically covered everything that they need to know. Just if you have any specific questions, you can ask here. If not, then I'm going to thank Nicole for your time today. And thank you so much for sharing the information with us and for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone.
Thank you so much. You too. Take care. Have a good day. Okay, guys. Any questions, any concern, any comments? We're all done today. So based on the information that she mentioned, you can go ahead and submit number 3 and 5, which will make it much easier. And go ahead and submit the document for today that we completed to the lab Canvas page to earn your points for today. And if there's no question, I will see you guys next week. Awesome, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.